Okay. Um, this is to daughters and sons. Um, Living on Earth and being here is I'm going to share important information with you, and I want you to know that you need to be okay with yourself and look forward to life and also the possibilities for you, because of what we're doing as a human race. Um, we are unfortunately failing utterly. The commercialism, the competition, not taking care of the homeless. There's places in this country where you can go to and see that people are trapped. They can't move. They they literally are like cattle, and they literally are existing, suffering really bad in places like where they can't go anywhere because they don't have any transportation, and they're also in an area where there's nothing there except to eat and go to a place to eat and then go to a place to sleep and then they sleep and they get up and they have to leave and then ultimately the people are not free at all to move around and do anything because they don't have any money and they can't go anywhere. So they just literally have to stay in areas where it's like a slum, like a trap. It's almost like the Jews in World War II when they were in the ghettos where they like were put in this place where the Nazis were surrounding them and like you can't go anywhere. You're just stuck there. There's no food. There's no yeah. I mean, but we have food, so the ghettos here in America are not quite as bad because we actually have food. We provide them with plenty of food, but there's nothing else for them. So it's like a ghetto that you should be happy about or thankful about, but it's ultimately a suffering that people are going through. The, the collective of the people, the humans. There's a collective. It's an intelligent spiritual being. It's called the collective. It's a collection of emotions and feelings in people that are as a group of people feeling all at once. It's an emotional reaction, and everybody's reaction emotionally is it occurs. So people act out, they lash out, crime, all kinds of terrible. I hate God. I hate the world. I hate you. Like in other words, what's happening here in America and around us is we're told we're free, but we're not free. We're actually prisoners of this place, basically. Now, if it's true that that whoever the enemy is also not the enemy, then there is a way out. Then there is a way out. Meaning, if it's true that there's a reason behind this, and let me tell you, if there is a reason behind it, if there is a real reason that's happening that needs to happen, then I'm going to present to you to look at it as not like we're all screwed and it's over, but it does appear that way. It does seem that way actually. And the truth being, whoever's doing all of that's happening in this country and in this world, whoever's creating the misery and the suffering uh, to the general population is doing it on purpose for a reason. Now we can look at it like as if it must be a bad entity. Maybe it's God's mad, or maybe it's Satan or the devil attacking us, or we could try to pick out and name an entity. You know, like what is the enemy? Where is the enemy? Who is the enemy? Well, let's say that ultimately you were to pray, and let's say that you prayed to God, and you prayed to God for help, and ultimately, God heard your prayers and he came to you and he answered your prayers. So he came to you and he said, I'm God. You were praying to me. If you could actually, if you could actually have that happen to you and it's real, well, okay. So if God came to you and said, okay, I heard your prayers and I'm here. And you said, well, I can't believe that. Are you here? Ultimately, you could ask God his name. He'd give you his name because he could tell you if he showed up to actually to your, to respond to your prayers. You could ask him his name. If he told you his name, you would know what his name is because he could tell you what his name is, and then you'd know. Unless you could actually ask him what his name is and he tells you, you wouldn't know. So none of us know who God is or who's the enemy or who is attacking us or why we're being put in this situation. Okay. So one day when you're gone or we're gone, understand that we're going to be here only a short time. Basically, we're here for a while and then we're dead, we die. It's short. Life is shorter than you think. Uh, trust me. Trust me on that one. Life is much shorter than you think. And excuse me. And as you get older, you start to realize that you got to do something. You're not sure what it is, and ultimately you'll be desperate to think what's going on. I've got to do something, fix something. Something's got to change. And as you get older, you get more desperate because as you come towards your end, you're trying to do something that you came here to do, and you don't even know what it is. So understand, because they didn't teach you what it is, you're not even sure what you're supposed to do. And as you get older, you get more panicked, and you get more like, I don't know what I got to do, but I got to do it before I die. I got to get it done. And if you can actually get what you need to get done, let me just present to you a possibility that I'm just saying this doesn't have to be true. Okay, it doesn't have to be true. And so certainly I could be mistaken, and maybe I'm making this all up and I'm crazy. Certainly I'm open to that reality, because I'm not going to tell you something that might scare you enough or scare the hell out of you and say it has to be true. I'm just going to say that you should know the truth, and perhaps maybe it's not true. At least I hope it's not true. The people on this earth are playing God. Much of the religions are playing God. Now, the response to this, let me tell you about Trump's collusion with Putin. Of course, it was a definite must, necessary. Understand that if Trump colluded with Putin, it was on a spiritual level and not on an actual level. So you need to know that if Trump could get accused of colluding with the Russian President Putin, well, if it was a spiritual collusion and it had nothing to do with them two talking to each other, the spiritual nature of what happened was an actual collusion. But they didn't say anything to each other. Nothing happened. They didn't exchange anything. So understand that if someone could get accused for something they're doing in a spiritual level, they didn't do it. It had nothing to do with anything they did physically because they didn't do anything. Then it becomes that literally we're obligated to take care of responsibilities to get things done and to fix the problem. The war in Ukraine has to happen, unfortunately. So I'm going to tell you about the war in Ukraine and why it's important, and unfortunately why it has to happen. Um, Ukraine they were ultimately they had nuclear facilities that they were ultimately, as a country, they had uh, nuclear power plants that they were heading, which is a big responsibility. as a country, or anyone that has nuclear power plants. I mean, that's a big responsibility to have them, because ultimately, if one of them goes down, and the potential damage, radiation all over the world, like what happened in Japan, it's ultimately something that any country can't just be allowed to possess nuclear power, because ultimately you're just sitting on a potential catastrophe if they don't handle it right and make sure it's safe. And so Ukraine having those nuclear facilities in Ukraine, there was a a lack of honesty, and that they were corrupted. And if they're that corrupted, or that potentially corrupted, we're talking about a spirit and a person or a people that could be that corrupted. Only some of them were. If some of these people were that corrupted, and only some of them were, well, then they have to weed out the corruption and find where that is. And if Ukraine had, well, I mean, a mentality of kind of, ha ha, we're in charge. Well, that was in a spiritual sense. And people's, like ultimately the mentality of an individual who might be prone to laugh in your face, or laugh at God, or laugh at any situation, like, I don't care, F you. But ultimately, you couldn't have that person in charge. And I'm not saying that they would screw up everything and have a nuclear catastrophe, or worse, like, understand that people who are in charge of nuclear facilities can't be of the nature of, ha ha ha, we're in charge, yank, yank, yank. They can't be people like that. If you find people like that are in charge, you have to uh, remove them. They have to be taken out and ultimately taken down. And so Ukraine was Ukraine was a place where it was really corrupt. A lot of corrupt officials, a lot of corrupt heads of state that are people who are running the place. They had to be taken down. Putin is doing the right thing to fight the war in Ukraine, and understand that the Ukrainian people are not wrong or bad. Not all of them, most of them are good, which means that having the war in Ukraine is necessary. Unfortunately, people dying, it's very slow war. I promise you, the Ukrainian won't be a slow war. They're taking their time weeding out the bad people that are that corrupt, that are that bad, that are that twisted, and ultimately that not genuine. It's going to be that they're weeded out. Unfortunately, the, if Putin is too fast or impatient with the way he's waging his war, then innocent people could die. Because when you're trying to weed out individuals that are just really irresponsibly, spiritually irresponsibly, the ones that laugh in your face, stab you in the back, or try to take advantage of you, those are just individuals that are people that are corrupt. People don't care about other people's feelings, or if they get hurt or killed or damaged, or their reputation gets ruined. We're talking about people that just don't care about you. They just want power and position and authority. Um, well, those kind of people, they have to be weeded out, destroyed, utterly destroyed. So how do you destroy individuals mixed in a whole community of Ukrainians? How do you weed out 20 people out of 5,000? Well, that's the whole thing. That's the whole problem. Is first you have to identify the individuals and understand not everyone's the enemy. This becomes a war of attrition. It becomes a war that's even describing a new way to have it. Like, we don't even know who the enemy is. We're trying to find the corrupt people that are that corrupt, that are that wrong, that twisted, that ingenuine, that pretending, and ultimately that faking friend, that faking support, that support that's not true, that presentation that doesn't deliver anything honest. And ultimately, it makes everything that we're doing completely wrong. And I'm not saying people shouldn't be doing something that is good, and people shouldn't be doing something that could work, because people should be doing something that is right and something that could work. But if that is corrupted and that is twisted, then understand people can't do it. And understand then that the mentality of what we're dealing with is that there's Ukrainian people in charge that need to be destroyed. And so all he's doing, Putin's trying to do, is take them out. The war's going to take a while because they're not trying to kill everybody all at once, because they're not trying to kill everybody. They're only trying to kill certain people. Understand why it's happening. Because God wants it to happen. Because God is saying that if there are twisted people that are corrupted and twisted and that are impure and everything that we can't do because of them, it's their fault. They're making something dirty that should be clean. They're making something cursed that should be blessed. If that's a blessing, it should be a good thing. But if that becomes a curse, it's because what they're doing, they're making the fact that you could be other people or try to be others, they're making it something that we can't do anymore. Um, After they finish weeding Ukraine out, that means they finish killing enough people there that are bad, and they're going to kill people that are, it's called collateral damage. And I'll tell you, if I was God, I would say you can't have any collateral damage. I don't accept one person dying, and I will not take one person that's collateral damage that dies. I do not accept it. If you're going to kill anybody, you better find the enemy and know who they are, and you better not be mistaken. Not be mistaken. So that means that you can't accidentally kill someone and say, I didn't, well, I thought they were wrong or bad. You have to actually, you better know who you're killing. You better know how to assess who's the enemy, and you better not make any mistakes. You better be professional. You better be, yeah, you better be Russia. You better be Putin. You better be, they know what they're doing. And they do. So understand Ukraine, when it gets literally weeded out, they're literally killing certain people in Ukraine. When they get them, then they'll decide that there's still a bunch of crap people in there. Yeah, I'm gonna like that. But when they get enough of the bad people that are bad, that's what they're doing. That's why the war's taking so long. And it's not all at once, because they're not trying to kill everybody. They're trying to kill certain people, and they don't even know where they're at. They're gonna find them. They've got to weed them out slowly but surely. After a while, they will decide that they've got enough of the bad out of Ukraine. They've weeded it out enough, and then they'll let Ukraine come back as a country that is now not as corrupt as it used to be. Basically, God came and made Ukraine get it right. And ultimately, I'm not against Ukraine or Ukrainians. Understand that the people themselves don't deserve what they're getting, but the corrupt Ukrainians better have to be removed. I can't even think about the responsibility that I would want to go kill people or remove them by force. I would think I don't even want to have to do that. I mean, that's just, I can't fathom being the Russian president of a major power and having the responsibility to have to go weed out corrupt people in Ukraine until it's approved that they've got enough of them removed and killed and dead. They could let Ukraine come back, and hopefully it will act responsibly and won't be so corrupted. Ultimately, that's the truth. Uh, the world, though, is not doing what they're supposed to do. So understand that as a group, the United States of America is ultimately in trouble fighting itself. The Democrats and Republicans don't agree with anything about anything. And the Democrats are set against themselves, and also the Republicans. The Republicans are trying to support the Democrats, but they obviously can't, because the Democrats won't support the Republicans. Our House is completely, and our Senate is completely just ridiculously upset emotionally, and everybody in our political government has emotional issues because of God uh, trashing our emotional state of mind. Yeah, it's that our whole country's upset because God is not happy with what the United States of America is doing, and He's trying to tell the country or the president or what's going on, like what you need to be doing. So Trump came in and said, "This is what we're gonna do because we are tired of trying something that don't freaking work." And if that could ever work, it ain't working now. And so we're going to do this. We're going to be ourselves, and we're going to quit the bullshit. And ultimately, because the population of America, a lot of it's huge, is unhappy. they're unhappy as a collective in spirit, so that it's a feeling that is in a whole group of people, hundreds of thousands of them all at once, and they're very disappointed, depressed. There's our whole spirit of America is going down the tubes, and it's because the government doesn't want to do what they're supposed to do. They don't want to take care of the homeless population. They want to let people the poor and the lower classes. They want to let them live in the conditions they are, unhappy, feeling unsupported by their government, and ultimately struggling to survive. As a whole collective, they're struggling to survive. No one's happy. Everyone's miserable, and it's bleeding off into everything and influencing it. It makes the rich feel offended by the poor, that they're so complaining and miserable. So the rich blame the poor for being miserable. So it's an offense to the rich people that the poor people are hurt and hurting. The fact that the poor people are hurting it's offensive. How dare you hurt? What's wrong with you? You homeless bum. You hurt? You were what are you hurt? Yeah, I'm hurt because I there's no opportunity anywhere. I'm hurt because everyone's hurt. None of us are happy. We're all miserable. We can't travel. We can't move. We can't do anything we want to do. And ultimately, there's no opportunity anywhere. There's nothing. Nobody's doing anything for anyone. Everyone's like every man for himself in this country. Every man for himself. Nobody's happy. Then the reality is, I didn't want to have to be like doing a video saying any of this. I was trying to think to myself, man, I wish I could be happy and doing a video saying, hey guys, how you doing? You know, everything's great, man. We got plenty of time. We're not going to have avian bird flu take over the entire world next year. No, there won't be a plague coming in, killing most people, dropping dead next year. It'll be quite interesting to see people dropping dead from the plague next year. And yeah, big plague coming next year. Yeah, it's bad. And maybe we'll all die. But the reality is that, yeah, that's the next idea. I want you all to know that at least I believe what I'm saying to you. It won't matter when I'm gone, and it won't matter when you're gone, what the hell any of this is about. But I'm telling you, it will matter. And the next plague that hits us is not going to be forgiving, and it's going to be very bad, because in 2022 or 2020, when the last plague hit us, understand why it did. I'm going to tell you something that is just hard to believe. When a civilization gets hit by a plague, it doesn't happen all the time. It's very rare. Last time we got hit by a plague was in the year 1920. So the last big plague to hit the United States was World War One. That was in the year 1918, 16, 17, 18, and that would be right after World War One. It was a Spanish flu. It was called a plague. It was basically killed millions of Americans. It like kind of like Corona, but it was worse. And that was the last plague we had. So we hadn't had a plague since 1900, since World War One. We didn't have plague here. The whole time since 1920, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, no plague. The United States doesn't have a plague. In the year 2020, the United States is hit with a plague, and they're blaming China for that. Whatever that means, it certainly is less important to look at China, look at the United States. And the plague that hit us here hit us because God is punishing us on a collective. What a plague is it's a punishment from God, and it happens to everyone on a collective. So let's say God is punishing individual people and only individuals. Then he will punish people based on what their behavior is individually. And when God is punishing people on an individual basis, it's a lot harder, involved. It takes more time. He has to do a lot more deep research and watching everybody and seeing the difference. You know, you looking at everything. But when God is punishing people on an individual basis, that means that he's not punishing groups of people or organizations that are the same. It's not like all the people in the Toyota factory get sick and die just because he doesn't like one guy who builds Toyota cars. Understand that he's not punishing groups of people. He's not punishing like all the Aryan men that are Nazis. They're not falling dead. He's not. There's no plague hitting any group or collective of people. So there's no plague, and that means God is not really pissed. Understand, when God is not really pissed and had enough, then we don't have plagues because He punishes people on an individual basis. If we have a plague, it tells you one thing. If you know, it tells you that God is freaking pissed and He's had enough. We have a plague, it will tell you one thing, and it's one thing only you're going to know. God is not taking any more shit from us, because what He'll do is put a plague on a civilization, and it doesn't come here by accident. God brought it here so we could have it. He gave it to us. He blessed us with a plague in 2020. The purpose of the plague was ultimately to get our attention, and it did get our attention. But instead of us responding to trying to fix the problem when it got our attention, everybody just fought each other. Trump attacked Pelosi, attacked Trump, attacked this and that, and accusation, and Democrat hates Republican. Everybody's wrong, and the House fought, the Senate fought, the Senate hearings, and yeah, the whole country's going nuts. But nobody's doing what they're supposed to. Nobody's actually changing anything, trying to fix anything. They're all throwing accusations at each other. And the worst of it all is they're all attacking Trump, who is the only one trying to do this right, be himself. A man, not trying to be a woman. I'm not going to be a woman. He's trying to be a man, and one man himself. So he takes this spirit called the man spirit, and Trump is trying to tell people, quit freaking around with that bullshit when you're trying to be, what do you want to be, that woman or that your wife? What are you doing? I could be her, but we could all be each other too. What are we doing? It's time to be ourselves, and then we'll deal with the goddamn problem. Instead of trying to be each other and say everything's fine. No, we don't need to be ourselves. We don't have ego. We don't need it. God is going to punish us for it. Let me tell you something. Kids are not dropping dead from the coronavirus. If kids drop dead, do you know the coronavirus is killing only people older? And let me tell you something. It's programmed to do what it does, and it is sparing children. Let me tell you, when a plague hits some place, it doesn't behave like the coronavirus. And the coronavirus as a plague is one different, new, weird plague, because it certainly is not behaving anything like one. Understand that when a plague hits a civilization, it takes out the children just as much, equally. The purpose of a plague punishing a collective is to punish everyone in that collective. God is not going to individually punish us anymore. He is going to punish all of us at once as a whole society. We're all going to get hit with the plague, and the kids are being spared. The children are not dying. Let me tell you something. That's not normal for a plague virus to hit a civilization, but the children get spared. The children don't get spared. A plague would take the children out just as fast and just as bad. So understand that if we got hit by a plague in 2020, and the kids are not dying off right and left, just like the old people are, I'll tell you why. Because that coronavirus is the nicest, friendly, loving, kind, considerate, and caring virus that we ever had, plague that we ever had. So that plague was not only nice, it was your best friend. It was saying, I'm a killer, but maybe I won't kill you. Maybe I won't kill you. Ultimately, the coronavirus is not even anything but your best buddy, because it's like, yeah, I'm not going to take out the children. Plagues take out the children. They don't spare them. But Corona does spare children. That's not even, if you look up in the history of this world, you're going to see plagues don't spare children. Corona spared the children. Understand why? Because God didn't want the children paying for what the older generation's doing. And the older people that are dying, it's because they're the ones that won't change and refuse to learn. The children, it's not the children's fault. The plague shouldn't be killing the child. So understand that God was pretty nice, pretty loving, and pretty nice to give us just a coronavirus plague that just killed selectively only some people, and mostly older people, and spared the children. Now, in 2020, when we got hit by this plague, our whole country responded in accusations, to throw accusations at each other, and then we all were trying to fight. and ultimately attack Trump, impeach him, and everything. Like none of us were looking at what we were doing or what we might be doing, or the fact that God's punishing our ass, and that's what, and we're not even considering that we did anything wrong. So we're not looking at ourselves as a country that might have done something wrong. We're actually just like thinking we didn't do anything wrong, and we're actually accusing each other that everyone else is doing something wrong. Do you understand that there's nobody taking responsibility for what they might be doing wrong? Not anyone. And if you actually ask them to consider, if you were going to take responsibility for anything you might be doing wrong, what would it be? What would it be that you're doing wrong? Do you think that anybody could even fathom imagining what it might be? Like, what would I be doing wrong? If I was wrong, if God's mad at us, he's punishing us on a collective level. What did we do wrong? What are we doing wrong? Okay, I'd like to answer that question. Commercialism is selling everything at high price, and the poor, the lower class, the homeless, the collective of a whole bunch of Americans and a whole bunch of people are miserably unhappy as a whole. Most of America population spiritually in a collective is very freaking unhappy and miserable. And that's also making the whole world miserable. The influence of unhappy people that are miserable is causing other people to be unhappy and miserable. We're all depressed. Many people are killing themselves, committing suicide. People are struggling with mental disorders like suicide, depression on a mass scale. And the homeless population is not being taken care of whatsoever. People are stuck in slum environments where they can't do anything. They got no assistance, and they basically can't go anywhere. They're the old ghetto, like what the Jews were stuck in. Well, we got them all over the United States. They're just they feed you though. So yeah, they're like, don't complain then, huh? Well, they're just as miserable as the Jews were in the ghettos in World War II. People's spirits are crushed. They're praying to God for help, and ultimately, if God's going to answer, He's going to help. But ultimately, how does God help? If there's a collective of a lot of people in the United States, a whole group of a lot of the population that's depressed, fighting, struggling against suicide, giving up, not even knowing, not having any hope for the future, as a whole collective, when that happens, praying to God for help, how am I going to help you, children? What do you want me to do? If you're all suffering as a whole collective, and you're praying to me, and everyone's miserable and the whole country's not happy as a whole collective, people are freaking angry at each other, everyone's fighting, and it's always someone else's fault. What do you want me to do, people? Well, we need some relief, God. We need some help. So what should I do? Tell them to like each other and get along, and then try to help the homeless and help the poor and help the needy? They're not doing it. They won't do it. The suffering is happening because the country is thinking that commercialism is the way to go. Competition is the way to go. Business competition is the way to go. People think that our economy is built on, you have to work, you have to, you have to sell your product, build your whatever you're going to do. It's a business. It's all about business. And not everyone in this world is involved in business. There's many Americans that don't know anything about business. We try to survive, and we don't know how to make money on the stock exchange. We don't know how to do business. We're not even involved. We have no idea. We're trying to survive and have some kind of life, and there's no way to do it. So God will punish. He'll punish the whole country by giving it a plague, and it can get sick and start falling dead. And as it starts to fall dead, people who die will open up the opportunities for other people. So we have to have a plague and have a lot of people drop dead. Think about it. If a lot of people drop dead, that means there's a lot of positions and employment places you can get into. I mean, if God just starts killing people, like in the droves, and they drop dead, we will have like opportunity finally, because we'll just have less people and there'll be a lot of dead people. And it'll be like, yeah, like it could be okay again. We need to kill a lot of people, get this freaking population cut down, like, so there's opportunity again for people. Too many people, not enough opportunity. Too many cattle, too much suffering. Understand that what they would tell you is that when a human population is suffering as in a collective, they're like cattle that are suffering, and their suffering is considered a nuisance and harassment. So because there's a collective bunch of people suffering, there's also another group of people that will say, like, you are pissing us off and offending us. You are suffering. You homeless, beat up, lower class, poor people suffering, fighting suicide and depression. We can't stand you. You make us sick to our stomachs. What do we do? You're suffering, like, and just you're lamenting in spirit, and we're feeling all your suffering. We can't we can't believe you're doing it. What are you doing? Well, we're trying not to suffer. We're terribly, we're hopeless. We lost it. We don't even think we can make it. We don't have any hope for the future. We're suffering. Yeah, we're crying out, crying to God, dying, feeling like we're dying, like hopeless. Well, we can feel that shit. Stop it. Or we're gonna hurt you, or fine, or we'll attack your ass, or we're gonna hurt you. You understand? You stop suffering in front of us like that. We don't like it. What, my suffering is going to literally offend you? Yes, because I can feel it. It's like, what are you doing? You're making me hurt. When you hurt, stop hurting. How can I stop hurting? How can we, any of us, stop hurting? We're all hurting. We don't care. We need you to stop hurting now. It's pissing us off. Okay, so if my suffering is going to offend you, and if as a collective we're offending the rich because we're suffering, they're not trying to help us. They're getting mad at us and being offended by our suffering, and actually making accusations like, how dare you suffer, and actually inconvenience us and our feelings. And we're being attacked by your suffering. But we're not getting any help from you. Why aren't you helping us so we can stop suffering? Because we're so twisted and deserve to die. And we should definitely have a plague and kill us all. Oh, so that's well said. Did you hear what you just said? No. If I actually did, I'd probably listen to myself. See, yeah, you got to have like a massive plague to kill them all, because understand, people got to drop dead by the groves. People got to die because this can't go on, like completely ruining everyone. Um, it's a feeling that says, what if you could talk to God and He told you, nobody talks to me and I won't talk to you? Wait a minute. What if I could talk to God? Well, what if you could? Nobody can, and I won't talk to anyone. They don't get to talk to me. Well, how come nobody can talk to God? I took my presence away from you long ago, and I told the whole world, none of you will see me anymore. I'm leaving. I'm withdrawing my presence from all of you, and you're all cursed. And so you're gonna have a relationship with me, and you won't see me anymore. You can pray to me, but I won't be there. How do you know? You won't know. So wait a minute. You're saying that there was a time when God used to be with us, walking alongside us. We could see Him, and He was here. Yes, and He was with us, and He didn't hide, and we saw Him, and He was a God in a God body that was a God, and He came down and was with us. Okay, so wait a minute. You're saying that there was a time when He left? Yes, and when He left, He was pissed, and He said that when I leave, none of you will see me anymore, and from now on, you'll have to have a relationship with me without me. And you will have no confidence, no belief in yourself. You'll doubt me, and you'll doubt my existence too, because I won't show you anything anymore. I won't show you my face. And ultimately, God said, I'll show you my face one time when you die, and I'll come comfort people when they die. So the thing is God told the population of the world, basically people as a whole, I used to be with you every day, and I didn't hide and I didn't leave. So I was pleased with you, and you saw me, and yeah, it was all good. We were with each other. Everyone said, God's, yeah, when you see God, He's really here. Like, you'll see Him. Like, it's not like you don't see Him. It's not like He's invisible. So when He left, and he said He's leaving, and He was punishing us, He said, now you're going to have a relationship with me, and you won't see me because you're going to have it on faith, based on faith, and it'll be blind. You're going to be blindly following a God by faith alone. And He said, I insist on it. It's my will. I'll tell you what I would have said at that time. Are you freaking kidding me? You better not be kidding me, God. Are you telling me I'm never going to see you anymore? Never going to see me anymore. Well, then how do I talk to you? You won't be talking to me. Well, when will I see your face? And when will you be around to comfort me and help me feel better? I won't be. And I won't comfort you. And you're not going to feel better. You're going to feel worse. You're going to be alone without me. Okay, well, that's the major punishment. And you won't be here anymore ever? Not ever. From now on, you'll have God and praise God. You'll go to church and you'll praise. I won't be there. How do you know I'm there? If I am there, you will have no idea. So God, we're gonna be disturbed pretty heavily if you're literally gonna make us have a relationship with you by faith. It'll be like you're not even there. We won't know. We'll lose our confidence and everything. We'll doubt ourselves, each other. It'll be like miserable. Where's God? He's gone. So God told me if I could talk to you and you could hear me, and I'm letting you hear me, well, understand nobody's going to hear me. So you must be lucky. Okay, great. Well, okay, fine. I'm lucky. You're damn lucky. If I'm actually God and I'm talking to you, you are damn lucky to be talking to me right now, that I'm even actually doing it, because no one can get this privilege. I don't talk to any man. He doesn't ever see me and he will never know me. So then literally you're not going to share your presence with us whatsoever. Absolutely not. I'm doing it to punish you so you can have no hope, feel hopeless without your God, feel lonely, fear death. I want you to fear death. I don't want you to be fearless. I want you to be scared of dying. So if you see me in my presence, you won't fear death. He's saying I'm going to make you emotionally unstable. All of you are going to be miserable without me. I promise. And ultimately, it's true. So if God was actually talking to me and he said, I'm talking to you, and but I want to talk to the rest of them. Okay, well then I must be lucky. Oh yeah, you're lucky. So you should be happy. Okay, so what am I supposed to tell them that we need to know? That I don't have a relationship with anybody anymore. That I withdrew my presence from all of you because I punished all of you. You're all wrong. I don't if I'm telling you the truth right now, and I'm saying that God is with me right now and he's talking to you right now, this is not a joke. If he was to tell you, I am not happy with any of you, and not with any of you in the government or the political system or running the whole entire country. I'm not happy with none of you. You all displease me, and none of you are listening to me. Ultimately, it's because I withdrew my presence from you. You're all upset. And ultimately, if God abandons you, but then expects you to still need him, well, ultimately, people are going to be mad, and God's already mad. So, how do we fix this situation? Well, understand that when you know God, if you do, and understand what's he like. Well, let's talk about that. What's God like? Well, first time I met him, I was scared as all hell. Like thought he was going to kill me. So I definitely was scared out of my mind when I first met God, because I thought for sure I'm dead. It was the first thing I thought is I'm dead. I know it. And he told me, I'm not going to kill you. So don't be afraid. Ultimately, because he told me don't be afraid, maybe I was okay, but I was still scared shitless. And I figured definitely he's a murdering God that's going to kill my ass. So I was scared the hell out. I was afraid of. He talked to me for a little while, and when he did it first, I spent a lot of time looking at him like he must be the devil or Satan. I was looking at God and saying something's bad about him, man. He's a murdering God. He killed my ass so many times. I feel like he's going to kill me now again. And ultimately, I'm saying, where's the loving God? The loving God that we all think we have. Well, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this loving God that we have that I didn't see, I certainly didn't meet, so I don't know. I'm certainly saying that if I knew God and he was real, I'm trying to share with you the truth and understand that when I saw God, I saw something scary, very scary. And when he talked to me, I was afraid. And then when he told me not to be afraid, he had to keep telling me that for a while before I could actually try to not be afraid, because you bet I damn well was. Couldn't help it. I certainly felt like my life was in danger in his presence, and it might be him that would kill me. So he explained to me he's killed me many times, that he has to kill me over and over. That was kind of strange to hear, because he told me that I've been born many times, and he said that every time you won't learn, and I have to kill you and you come back, maybe you'll learn that time. Maybe this time you'll learn. Last time you grew up and became a man and then cut me off, and I killed your ass for it. Oh, I cut you off? Yeah, you became an adult, mature, and decided to be your own God without me. You stopped listening to me. You ended up getting dead. So then I'm telling you, If God murdered me tons of times, he's not a living God. And when I met him, I didn't sense any loving enemy whatsoever. I sensed a very powerful entity that I was very scared of, that I knew could kill me easily. And I was afraid if he was going to do it. So ultimately, when I met God, it certainly was an experience that was traumatic in a certain way. It was kind of like meeting the devil and realizing who you were actually looking at. You had a lot to be afraid of. And the world getting punished, understand, our God that is running this country, our religious system, where is our God? All our religions, what's going on? How come we're such an unhappy country if our God's real and all our religious organizations are all real? Why are we so miserable as a country? If God is running this country, if God is such a good living God, how come this country's so damn miserable? How come this world's fighting conflicts constantly? Why are we fighting wars all everywhere and killing each other, beheading each other? In the Middle East, they're fighting and beheading each other. Iran can't be happy. Iran's beheading people. I, everywhere. They're literally not able to be at peace. It's because all of us are not going to be okay until we get our relationship with God back straight the way we need it and want it. You don't know who God is, do you? Well, he's not nice. He's not loving. He's murderous and he's a killer. He's a powerful entity that is so powerful that you'll pee yourself when he comes around. You won't think grandpa, there won't be no nice grandpa. So understand when you think that you know who God is. Well, I'm just saying that they're trying to teach me God's a loving God, and he loves me with unconditionally. What the hell is that crap? Do you think you're going to find a God that loves you unconditionally? You will not. You'll not see him or know him, and I don't think there's no entity that's coming to you like that. Certainly not. God says man has taken his idea of who I am and forgiven himself in his sins. So now he's forgiving his sins. And he has forgiven himself as a sinner so he can continue to sin. And now he's a sinner that has been forgiven and can continue to sin. And now he's loving and has some love in there and some forgiveness while he continues to sin because he's forgiven. So he's created his own God that is just loving and unconditionally loving and continues to sin because he's forgiven and his sins are forgiven. And since Jesus died on the cross for mankind, well, Jesus paid the price for us so we can continue to sin, right? Wrong. No, you're going to say that Jesus paid the price for you, that since Jesus died, it's okay for you to keep sinning. You will die for that, for that idea. That's what he'll say. That because you are going to say that it's okay that you can keep sinning because Jesus paid the price for you. So you're justifying that you don't have to change or do anything different. You can keep sinning. Jesus paid the price for you. Wow. Do you think God would be happy with men that are doing that? They created a God for themselves that paid the price so they could continue to be bad and then say everyone should unconditionally love each other now still too. Why we all do it. So we're all in a condition none of us can be happy in. I'm probably done doing these videos for a while. I'm going to probably do more later, but I'm going to take a break because if I can. If I don't, I mean, I've said that before and I don't know, but I think that what I'm being told is God saying that we can't keep telling them that we can't keep. We've done it. We've done what we need to do, and ultimately it's sad because they're not listening and they're not going to listen. They're certainly not going to change either. Is what I'm being told. It's pretty sad. It feels pretty bad. It's hopeless. It feels hopeless. It's just a feeling of we're going down. We're all going down in flames, and The truth is, I mean, I'm sorry to have to say that because I'm gonna go down too. I mean, we're not. It's not like I'm gonna be Mr. Okay and everyone else is gonna go down. We're all going down. I guarantee it. And if it changes, if we don't all go down in flames, well, ultimately, it'll be because the government gets their shit together and starts to actually take care of the poor and the homeless and the collective of Americans on a huge scale that are all miserable and depressed and fighting suicide and every mental disorder possible. You know, drugs are taken by people that are trying to be to have some kind of effect in their mind when they don't have any position in the world. When there's hopelessness in their condition, you take drugs so that you can be a loser or a nobody on drugs. So if you take a loser or a nobody on drugs, they could take the drugs and be a loser nobody on the drugs and they're happy. So if you actually give drugs to a loser nobody, they'll take the drugs and be happy, and they'll be a loser nobody happy, and they'll be happy. So it's all good. So if you give drugs to the population and all the homeless people and all the, yeah, if you give lots of drugs to them, where you can make them happy, and they could be losers and they won't mind. So if the government wanted to fix the freaking problem, what they do is provide the whole goddamn world with lots of drugs, so that while we're all being bad and deserving to die, because God's freaking pissed at us, not happy with us whatsoever right now. He's freaking pissed. He's saying if you give them lots of drugs, you could at least allow them to have some peace and happiness while they're miserable. Nobody's going nowhere forever, and they know it. They could be at least drugged up and happy about it, rather than sober and miserable about it. So the lack of, and I'm not talking about alcohol, because I'm saying it doesn't make any sense. We're going to be using such a shit drug like alcohol, the worst one drug there is. Understand, alcohol is not what I'm talking about, because alcohol is a killer and it makes you violent and just plain wrong. I'm not saying let them get drunk. Let's destroy alcohol and illegalize it, make alcohol illegal. It's a killer. If any country that would allow alcohol to be out there is allowing their population to destroy itself. So ultimately, I'm talking about drugs, methamphetamine, cocaine, uh, any of those drugs. Those are, yeah, give them to the population and let them find some peace while they're having nothing. Well, ultimately, they can provide those drugs to the population, and ultimately, if we could all at least be on drugs and happy while we're nobody and going nowhere, it'll work. It'll work for a while. Now, imagine this: if there was a reason that a collective of people should be miserable and they want us to stay miserable, well, then tell me why that there'd be a bunch of people that had to be miserable and stay miserable. That they want a collective people to be depressed and fighting depression and every bad mental disorder. What is there any kind of advantage that could be had by a whole bunch of unhappy people continuing to be unhappy? Why wouldn't we try to change it somehow? Because we're idiots. Because we think that drugs are bad and that people who are sober and suffering can't take drugs and feel better unless they can. So drugs is the answer to the question and the solution, that you need to drug the population and make it able to be doing something when it can't do shit. So it needs to be provided with drugs. And of course isn't that an interesting solution? God just told me to tell you that. What a solution. Oh, God just said that? God said, look, the country's so miserable that it would have the population miserable as a collective, and they would be sober and hurting and not able to do anything. Being sober and hurting and not able to do anything is a very suffering process. A sober person knowing they're going nowhere, and with a sober mind, seeing it, knowing it, it is a suffering of a person saying, I'm going to have nothing in this world. I'm going nowhere. I can't get any help. There's nothing happening for me. There's no opportunities. Well, take some drugs, man. You'll sit down right now and be fine. What, if I take some drugs? Yes. Snort a line, man, of some good meth. What's gonna happen then? Well, you'll be sitting on the bench saying, yeah, I have a purpose, man. What's your purpose? This pencil, it's yellow. and I'm twirling it. Wow, my purpose is to twirl this pencil, man. Wow, this is fun. How long are you gonna twirl that pencil? I don't know. It's fun to do it though. You mean that pencil's really fun to twirl? It is. Wait a minute, man. Don't tell me that that pencil's fun to actually twirl. It actually is. I actually enjoy this. How long are you gonna do it for? I don't know, man. Maybe an hour or two. I don't believe you. You're actually having fun twirling a pencil. I'm not kidding you, man. This is actually fun. This is my purpose. Dude, look at that guy. He is twirling a pencil and he actually thinks it's his purpose to twirl a pencil. I actually like it. I just snorted some meth. I'll tell you what, I'm feeling pretty good. This pencil's twirling pretty good. What do you see? Do you think that's like an earth twirling? Do you think it twirls like the earth? Give me another line. This is pretty cool. I like twirling pencils. Okay, well, man, you went from homeless bum to happy, happy. Well, now I got a purpose. I could twirl this pencil. I just need a puff once in a while of some good shit. So ultimately, the drugs will keep a person doing anything and giving them some reason to think that they have something. It just gives them relief. That's all. It just saves their ass. They're able to do some drugs if they got nothing else. Unfortunately, if the government saw that truth, that the misery in this country is caused by a lack of drugs, well, do you think that they'd ever look at that idea? Especially if God told them the war on drugs is what's making us miserable. We need more drugs. Screw the war on drugs. We need to get lots of drugs. Yeah, well, you're going to have no purpose. At least we could do drugs. It could be our purpose. That's pretty true. And it's unfortunate that we don't have those drugs available to us. Um, it's hard to keep hope, and sometimes you need to you need to try to keep hope no matter what. Um, you'll struggle in your mind, and you'll have a hard time struggling because when you're actually being honest with truth and true to your spirit, you're going to suffer in your mind, and it'll be like hard to deal with. You'll struggle in your mind, and what's easy to do is just not care and say screw it, fucking I don't care. And if you have to do it, then to save yourself, then do it. If you have to become cold and callous and disconnected, well, I'm just going to say that if you do it, you're doing it to save your own self because you can't flip out and lose it. So if you disconnect from the collective and you just say like, I don't care about nobody, you're all dumbasses. Well, ultimately, it's an attitude you could take, which could work. It's just saying you don't care anymore. You're just not going to be giving a shit because you won't. You'll be like, yeah, this world could blow up. I don't care. Let's nuke it. So the whole idea that you might say, just let's nuke it. We'll just have nuclear war. Cool. Everyone blow up, die, every one of us. Ultimately, if you can get that kind of an attitude, you can kind of dismiss all your pain and suffering like you don't care about it, and it could work. But the problem is that if we all do it, or if it happens on a collective that we're doing it like that, it's the end of the world, and the world will be done when people are not caring anymore and actually being that completely careless. Um, I want to say that I think that the United States doesn't care about its people. The United States government doesn't care about its people. So our government does not care about us whatsoever. And they don't care if we die or suffer or are we're a nuisance at best. So most Americans are literally just in the way more than anything. We're in the way. So they're letting us be American. But yeah, we're nothing more than a nuisance or a potential threat in some way that our presence might offend them because we're poor or we're miserable. They don't like that. It's an offense. They'll take it as an offense. Um, you're going to have to be trying to realize that you don't want to fall into giving up or depression or just like you don't have a purpose anymore. So the reality is you have to find a purpose and be important, and that means you're going to have to do something important with a purpose. Uh, if you're sitting around and you're fighting and struggling about giving up, like you just having struggles like emotionally and mentally, Understand it's because you're not able to find some important purpose that you can live out. You'll have to find one. That means you got to do something important and be important. You got to stand up and do something. What are you going to do? Ultimately, I don't know what you're going to do, but you can't not be important because you'll just give up. You have to find a purpose and a reason. Um, I have never found my strength by being with something. I've always needed to find my strength by building myself against it. So to rebel and to resist anything like authority gave me a purpose and strength. Unfortunately, I empower myself through conflict and yeah, setting myself apart from other people and against them. It gives me power when I suddenly can stand up against you and say like, "How dare you? I can take power right now." So ultimately, if I'm not against you, then I could say I'm weak and I want to give up and I'm hopeless. What's wrong? I'm not against you. I don't hate you or nothing. I just want to give up and die. I don't have any power. What do you got to do, man? You're gonna give up, and but you just. I feel like I'm dying and I have nothing and I'm powerless. Well, why don't you make yourself okay? Okay, you son of a bitch. All right, I'm gonna be against you now. Let's fight. You want to fight to go to war, die? I'm gonna kill you right now. Ultimately, yeah, let's get powerful. You're dead, buddy. So that's how I get powerful. I have to have a fight. I have to have somebody to stand against. Understand that I didn't choose to want to be able to have to take my strength that way. That's the way it has to be taken because if I'm not against something, then I won't be able to take any power. I have to resist it and rebel against something. Um, well, God told me that. He said He made that clear to me. He told me you need to see what you're doing. You're trying to be strong, and there's nothing wrong with being strong. But how you do it is ultimately to resist, rebel, and be against things. It works. It works pretty good. But you better know what you're doing because while you're trying to take power, you be careful how you do it. It'll be necessary to be against something. You'll have to kind of do it. So yeah, we'll have to have conflicts for sure. And ultimately, what else? I was told that there's a heaven up in the sky that is a place that is under God. And the gods of this world are not the gods of that heaven. So that there's a God of that heaven up there, and whether his name is Jehovah or Zeus or High God, whatever he is, Jupiter, the God of that heaven is not a God of this earth, and the gods of this earth are also the God of this earth. So they're plural and singular, and it seems like maybe there's more than one, but the gods of this earth are the, not the one that's the God of heaven. So that people are not aware that there's gods that are gods of this earth that are not gods of that heaven. They're different from each other. So that we think we're following God, but and we're trying to follow God, but we don't even know there's more than one God. They're different. So the gods of this world are not the gods of that heaven, and ultimately that you can look at them like son and father. So the dad is up in heaven, and he's not a god of this world. He's way far away. He's gone and far removed from here. So he's not near us or around us. The God of that heaven is nowhere around us, near us. Do you understand? And we're on earth. The God of this world, well, he is here with us, and he is not up there. He's not dad. He's the son of that dad. The God of this world is the son of the father up there. And it's this world. It's this God. It's not that God. They're two different gods. Understand? Well, wait a minute. I thought there was only one God. Well, you have to understand that there is only one entity. The Father and the Son are the same thing. But the Father's not here in this world, and he's not a God of this world. He's a God of that heaven up there, and it's not this world. Which means that although the entity is the same, because there's only one entity, because the Father and the Son are the same entity, but they are different gods in different bodies with different personalities. And the Son is different from the Father. in every way in the personality and characteristics. The Son is the God of this world, and the Father is the God of that heaven. Different entities, but they're also the exact same entity. Different personalities, but they're also the exact same personality, just in different bodies, and also heading different collective of people. The God up in that heaven is heading a collective of people that are in that heaven. They're a collective of people in that place, and it's a place that's blessed by God, and it's up there in that place. The God of this world is not blessing anyone, and in this place we are not blessed. In this place, we might be being punished. In this place, we're supposed to be doing this. In this place, because this is what we're supposed to be doing is being here in this world. We're not up there in that heaven. We're not going to be doing what they're doing. We're going to be here doing this. What is this? This is conflict. This is fighting. This is war. This is me. This is a single individual. This is dad. This is the son who's the son of the dad. This is God. This is not goddess. This is not her. This is him. This is him alone. Wait a minute. So what's she? Well, if she's this, if she wants to be him alone, she's trying to do this then. It's him alone. Does she do this? Can she do this? Yes, she can. She could try to be him alone, but she'll be him without a him, because she can't be him if she's being him. So wait a minute. What is she? Well, she'll be up there in that heaven. Well, what's she down here? She can't do that down here. She'll be doing, if she's going to do that down here, well, then she'll be heavenly. What about him? Is he going to be, what's he going to be doing? He won't be doing that, being heavenly. If he's down in this world, he'll be doing this, being a man, being a masculine. What if he's doing that, doing what's up in heaven? He'll be doing what she does. So if a man does that, what is he doing? Well, if he wants to be his mother, he can do that. So what are you trying to say, that a man that does that is his mother? I said if he wants to do that, he could be his mother. I don't care. Well, what if he does this? He wants to be his father. Well, then he'll do it. So if he does this, be his dad. He is his dad. So what if she does this? Be her father. She's not her father. She's a daughter. But what if she does this? She wants to be her father. Well, if she wants to do this, she'll try to be her father. That's why it's doing this. It is a father, but she's a daughter, not a father. Which means that if a woman wants to do this, be her dad, well, she's a daughter that's doing this, being her dad. Well, she's not her dad though. So if she does this, it's just she's trying to be her dad. So what are you trying to say? That this is men? Yeah. And that's women? Yeah. And if a man does that, he wants to be his mother, that's just fine. If he wants to do that, he could be his mother. What if she wants to be doing this, her father? Well, then she'll do this. But she's not her father. So she could try to do this, and, well, it'll be some version of this that's really her instead of her father, which is not this, actually. So, okay. So we're stuck as a population. And we're trying to instill some power about what are we going to do here. Well, we're going to either say that should be done. We should be men and dad. Let's do this. We got this. Well, what about the women that want to say, I got this, and let's be dad? Well, they can try it. Go ahead, take this. Let's say it. Okay, say this after me, woman. I got this. We got this. We got dad. This is ours. It's dad. A singular masculine. We can do this. Okay, so do you know what this is then? It's a singular masculine. Okay, this is dad? Well, this ain't mom. No, this is surely not mom. Oh, so what's mom? Well, if mom is doing something that dad doesn't do. So mom does something that dad doesn't do. Mom does something that dad doesn't do. So what does mom do? Well, if she wants to do this, try to be dad, then mom could say, I'm going to do this. Try to be my husband. I'll try to be dad. I got this. This is mine. Okay, but mom, come on. Don't you think that's kind of silly trying to do this, be dad? Mom wants you to do something that dad doesn't do. How about you try that? Be mom. I don't want to do that. I'm going to be dad. I'm going to try this. Mom, you're being stupid. Why don't you just accept that you can't be dad? You'll be mom if you accept that. You'll be mom, not dad. Oh, I know, but I don't want to accept that, she says. But wait a minute, mom. Aren't you insisting on that's what we're doing? Just getting along? Let's do that. Get along. Oh, I agree. Let's do that. Get along. Okay, mom, so you agree we should do that? Get along? Oh, yeah. So that's good. Well, of course that's good, honey. Okay, so you're agreeing that that's good. Well, yeah, I'm saying that's good. Okay, so mom, you want to be mom and do that? Well, I am mom. Okay, let me see you do that, mom. Let me see you do that. Be mom. Instead of do this, be dad. Mom, don't be doing this, be dad. Show me that you can do mom. Mom. Well, what if I don't want to do that? Be mother. Well, you are mother. Why wouldn't you want to be mother? Because I want power. I want this. Okay, you want this power? I want this power. Okay, mom, but dad's got this power. It's his power. He's got this power. It's his. I know that I could take it from him. It's mine too. If I want this, I'll take this. But mom, this is dad, not mom. This is a man. This is a masculine spirit. It's not a feminine. If a feminine takes it, she's taking his masculine spirit. That's all she's doing is being him. So you're trying to tell us we're all dumb and none of us know? Yeah, you're all dumb and none of you know. What are you doing? Well, the women are hating this. How dare the husband be this and take this? Because it's a man and he is one. Well, it's also God. And you could say he is one. Who is one? Well, not dad. God is one. God. Dad is one. Dad. He's taken the same thing that God has taken. God's got this. Yeah, God. This is God, singular masculine. And this is dad, masculine singular. Dad takes this. He's got this. And where did he get this from? God. So what about mom? Mom can take this if she wants to be dad or God. But if she takes this and she wants to be God, well, that's what dad does. Dad takes this and be's God. Yeah. Dad says, hey, man, I got this. It's from God. Coming straight from God. I got it. This is mine. Yeah. Thanks, God. Okay. So what about mom? Well, she wants to take this. She could try to take it from God, but it'll come from dad. And if she doesn't want to take anything from dad and she tries to take this from God, well, she'll have to take dad to take God because otherwise she'll have to, well, yeah, because this is what dad's got and this is where he got it from. So it is this. So what happens if mom wants this, but not from dad, just wants it from God? She wants the power. She doesn't want to be dad. She wants to be God. Well, then she'll have to take dad because that is God. Dad took the power. Dad took this from God. So he's got this and God's got this. Mom wants this and she wants this from God, but not from dad. So she'd say, I don't want this from dad, or I'll take this from God. Well, it's the same this dad's got. This is wrong then. This is just utterly evil. This is the devil. This is Satan. This is unacceptable. Well, no, this is the power that you'd love to have if you could, but you're mad about this because you want it. That's not very strong. No, it's not. That's not very powerful. No, it's pretty weak. That's pretty weak. Yep. Well, I don't like that. Well, I know, mom. You don't want to be that. You don't want to be a mom. You're trying to be dad. Oh, so you're telling me that I'm wrong? I'm saying, mom, is that good? Do you want to do that? Be good? Well, I suppose it is. Okay. So let's do that as a country. All of us can do that. Be each other. And everyone can do that. Get along. Oh, we could all do that? Get along? Yeah, we could all do that. Get along. And none of us are homeless or miserable. Let's do that. Let's all be getting along. None of us are homeless and miserable. Or none of us are in difficulty or in the poor zone or in a whole bunch of Americans that are all unhappy. None of it. Let's do that. All get along. Well, we can't do that. Let's do this. Not get along. Well, what if we want to do that? Get along. We won't be able to do that together and get along. It won't work. That'll make us miserable trying to get along when it won't work. So what's the answer? Well, let's try this. Let's complain and be mad and go to war. But we don't want to do this. Well, this is what we're going to do when we're unhappy and mad at each other. This will be dad by himself. He's not going to be everyone else, especially when he's mad. So you're trying to say that we're not going to be cooperating when we're doing this? No, we won't. We'll be like being God, telling each other what to do, yelling at each other, going to war, doing everything wrong. The women will say, this is the devil, this is evil, this is bad, and this is wrong. Okay, but I'll say, this is God, this is dad, this is masculine, this is singular, and this is just a man. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not a woman though. So don't confuse anything. Don't think this is a woman. It's not. Okay, so fine. So let's do that. What, be mom? Yeah, we could all be mom. All be mothers. Let's all be mommy. Okay, let's do that. I agree then. Dad, you want to be mom and we could do that? No, I'm going to do this. Be myself. Be God. Oh, and you think, Dad, you could just be God and just be yourself, but you're not going to be mom too and do that? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not that. She's that. She's that pissed. She's that angry. She's that goddamn hell bent, twisted. Well, that's not my fault. I'm doing this being a man. I'm doing this being God. I'm happy with this. Yeah, but mom don't like that then. Well, she can deal with that then. Yeah, but she's gonna be mad at you. She's gonna say it's your fault. She can't do this, be a god and be dad. Well, she's not a god and she's not dad. I'm dad and I'm not a god. I get this from God. So that's why I got this and so does he. So dad, but mom wants to be doing this, being God. I told you, I'm not God. I get it from God. It's this. It's mine. It's for dad, not for mom. But mom wants it. And she says, you shouldn't have it. And why do you think you're God, anyways? You're not. You're just a man. Well, that's why she wants it. And when she takes it from me, there's no difference. Yeah, she doesn't think she's a God when she takes it. She just loves her power. And she calls herself a goddess or whatever she wants to call herself. I don't care what she calls herself. But this is mine, not hers. So what are you saying, Dad? There's only room for one of us to have this in this house? Yes. So what if mom wants this? She'll have to fight dad, take it from him. But what if dad don't want to give it to her? Well, it's not hers, so he could keep it because, yeah, it is his. So women aren't going to be happy with that. No, they won't. But don't expect that to happen to dad because he's not going to have that. He's not a woman. So that's not fair. Well, of course that's not fair. That's wrong. Well, yeah, it'll be way wrong if you can't be God or the head of the household or you got this. So this should be outlawed. We should say that nobody should be able to do this anymore, ever again. You're the devil if you try this, being strong and being a god or a man. Well, then, yeah, if you try this, you're just Satan or just wrong because this is just evil. Oh, really? You mean this power I got? This control, spiritual power? Yeah, women want it. They ain't going to get it unless they fight the men for it. Well, then we're going to fight the men for it. Well, yeah, and you could be deceitful little biatches because you could actually act like love could happen. You could try to steal it from him. He's got this and you meet him and you could be doing that. And then you could tell him, yeah, well, don't worry, a little while later, I'll get it from you, honey. You won't have any more, will you? Well, that's why we'll fight. That's why the marriage won't work. That's why we'll kill each other and divorce will happen. That's what will happen. That's it. I think that's about it. Um, that's about it. It would have been really nice if I could have got my cards out earlier, and I got 2 decks, but I can't do them right now because God told me that basically you can't be doing tarot card readings and acting like everything's okay. So nothing's okay, so you can't. Yeah, because if I'm doing tarot card readings, it's like as if we're not in trouble, and we're in trouble. So if everything changes, I'm going to start doing readings, and I hope that something changes because I think that we're all going to be in trouble next year, and I'm not looking forward to it for sure, but I think it's going to be trouble for us all, big trouble, and I'm definitely worried about us getting hit with a bad plague next year. A really bad one like avian bird flu, and people dropping right and left dead in the streets. Um, it's definitely on my mind. It's scary. I hope it doesn't happen. All right, see y'all later.